Interest rates have dropped a total of 1.75% over the last 7 months, with more to come in 2025. And with $300 billion in mortgage renewals across Canada this year, and another $400 billion in 2026, these rate cuts are coming at the needed time to provide existing homeowners with the necessary relief to continue their homeownership. But will these rate cuts also invigorate demand in the real estate market, and what should we expect this year? In this video, I'll be going over my real estate watchouts for 2025 to anyone that's planning on buying or selling in Toronto this year. If it's your first time seeing me, my name's Jonathan Lee, and I'm a Toronto area realtor based out of Etobicoke. Let's start with a summary for how we finished 2024 in Toronto real estate. We finished the year with 24,700 sales between resale houses and condos. This is about 25% below the 22-year annual average of approximately 33,000 sales per year. Though we did see a rise in year-over-year transactions in October and November, we actually closed out December with only 1,174 sales, which is just below the December 2023 numbers. We had low sales years in both 2023 and 2022 as well, where the years finished with 24,500 sales in 2023 and 27,900 sales in 2022. So if we extrapolate based off the last 3 years of below average sales transactions, there are about 22,000 sets of potential buyers and sellers who wanted to move and should have moved over the last 3 years but did not move. So there is a backlog of people that certainly have a desire or interest in moving, all while we've seen record population growth in the GTA over the past 5 years. So these are truly conservative numbers. Seasonally speaking, a typical year will usually have a higher peak in spring with more sales happening over March to May, as more families will try to time the actual move over the summer months, 60 to 90 days after a sale occurs, to not disrupt the school year. But in 2024, we saw a slightly higher peak in the fall, likely attributed to lowering interest rates that started over the summer months. And usually with a more active fall, we can expect the preceding or following spring to be active as well. And that's exactly what happened in 2009 during the last financial crisis when rates started coming down. Home prices bottomed out before interest rates did, and we saw a rapid run-up of prices over the spring. Now, lowering interest rates does two things for buyers. First, it will of course decrease the monthly payment for the mortgage amount. For example, the payment on a $500,000 mortgage at 6.25% is around $3,275 when you're on a 25-year amortization. While at 4.5%, which is roughly where rates are today, it's around $2,765, a drop of about $500 per month. The other thing it will do is allow buyers to borrow more if they're borrowing at the maximum they can afford. So if we were to back calculate, if the most you could afford to pay per month is $3,275, that increases your mortgage amount up to $591,000 at 4.5%, or an increase of about 18% of your top line budget. If you add in the change to borrowing rules allowing borrowers to put as little as 10% down with a 30-year amortization for purchase prices as high as $1.5 million, buyers have gained a lot more potential purchasing power compared to just 7 months ago. And that brings us to what lowering interest rates does to sellers when selling a home. This is pretty straightforward. Lowering interest rates brings out more buyers with higher potential purchasing power, and sellers want a piece of that. So sellers' price hopes and expectations go up when selling their home. So there's a good case to be made that people will be exploring the opportunity of moving this spring. Now, if you'll be a buyer, here are my buyer watchouts for 2025. Buyer watchout number 1, buy for the long term. The next 10 years in real estate are unlikely to be like the previous 12 years in real estate that averaged near 8% returns year over year. Real estate has very high transaction fees of land transfer tax, as well as broker sales fees when you sell. And this eats anywhere from 6 to 9% of the equity in your home. Over the 2010s, appreciation was so rapid that you could move every 2 years and in many instances still make money. The home you buy in 2025 should be a place that can work for you for at least the next 5 years at a minimum, but potentially for 10 years. For some of you, your parents may be telling you to just get your foot in the door and to buy that bachelor condo or whatever. But if your life will be seeing a lot of change over the next couple years, you'll be getting married, starting a family, changing jobs, potentially leaving the city, You're better off either continuing to live with your parents or buying a bigger place or just continuing to rent. If you do any of those, continue to invest the money you save by not owning a home. These savings could be through maintenance fees, property taxes, home insurance, just general home maintenance, and ensuring you are seeing a suitable return on that investment. Ideally beating whatever gains are being made in the real estate market, be that 3, 4, 5, 6%. As you evaluate the potential for how your life may change in the future, look at the long term. Buyer watchout number 2, don't spread yourself too thin and go to the top end of your budget when you buy, unless you have to. Interest rates are down, but there's a chance they will rise again in the years to come. Buying at the top end of your budget, where over 50% of your after-tax income is going to housing with lower rates, can financially ruin you if rates rise again. Rates are down now, but I'm personally not convinced they'll be down for the long term. They were really only high for 1 year, which when you look at the history of interest rates is just a blip on the graph. And of course, rates aren't guaranteed to stay low forever. With that said, there is a floor price for certain property types. For example, if you're buying a 1-bedroom condo and want to only spend 80% of your $500,000 budget, that leaves you with 1-bedroom condos at $400,000, which is extremely restrictive. If you have no choice but to go to the top end of your budget to get into the property type that you need, you're just gonna have to do it. But don't mix up the needs with the nice to haves when it comes to budget. Buyer watchout number 3, and this is for buyers and existing homeowners alike. Keep your eyes out on the interest rates after you close. There's a strong case to go on a variable rate mortgage on a purchase or renewal this spring. The current delta between a fixed and variable is almost 0%, and variable rates will continue to drop into 2025, while fixed rates, they haven't budged in a few months. I'm currently on a variable rate mortgage and intend to stay on one for at least the next 6 months, but I'm also keeping a close eye on where fixed rate mortgages will be sitting. And I'll also be looking at switching to a fixed rate mortgage as the economic picture gets more defined. Many homeowners, myself included, got burned by our variable rate mortgages in 2022, and I'm not convinced rates will stay low forever. So let's not make that mistake again. Buyer watchout number 4. Be open to buying a home that needs work. There's a serious deficit of renovated homes on the market, and I expect that to continue in 2025. It should be no surprise that the prettiest homes sell fastest for the most money with the most offers. But this deficit in renovated homes has resulted in a huge price disparity between a completely renovated home and an older original home in the same neighborhood. I've seen some homes sell for as much as 70% above an original home here in Etobicoke, and the renovation might have only cost half of that difference. I think there's a lot of good value in the older homes, and the vast majority are completely livable, just very old looking. So if you can paint, you can do yard work, maybe you can learn to change trim yourself. It will go a long way to making the eventual home of your dreams on your affordable budget. Watchout number 5. Don't get too wrapped up in the moment. It's going to be a busy year and you're going to face competition. A lot of emotional buildup goes into buying a home, especially for anyone that's been wanting to move for years. It's something you've fantasized about, and maybe a part of you even feels that this will be the solution to your lifestyle challenges. But try not to get too wrapped up in that moment. It's just a home, a place where you rest your head at night. You lose a few offer dates, but as long as your offers are competitive and you're being realistic, the right home will eventually come along. Now, onto my seller watchouts. Seller watchout number 1. List early. There are going to be a lot of sellers seeing if they can sell for top dollar this spring. April to June is peak spring and a time when prices will reach consensus in the buyer's psyche. Sometimes there are opportunities in February to March where buyers start to feel the heat of competition due to the lack of inventory, and many buyers will want to lock in a property, providing a window for sellers to get the buyer to pay a bit of a premium. There are no guarantees of this happening, but listing early allows you to test out the market while still providing you time to have enough buyers that come through your property in April and May, should you not be able to sell before that. Listing early allows you to gradually drop price to match what the price consensus becomes. Seller watchout number 2, be realistic. As a seller, you will naturally be looking back to when prices had peaked pre-rate hikes and what home values were then. You might be looking to align your sale price with the market from that time, But every time you buy or sell a home, it's just a moment in time and is a reflection of all the inventory and market sentiment of that time. 2025 isn't 2021 or 2022, and so the price you really want may not be in the picture. For example, buyers left Toronto for the suburbs in 2021 and cottage country was booming. That's no longer happening, so you can't expect the same buyer pool willing to spend that money in those regions. That's just one example, and that is in the past. Buyer watchout number 3. If money is important, be open to making home improvements. As I mentioned to buyers, there is a serious deficit of renovated homes on the market, and as such, there is a high markup for very well renovated homes that don't require any additional work. It's a specific type of property that can overperform. But if you're looking to maximize opportunity and can spend money to make more money, this is something I believe is worth looking into. Seller watchout number 4. Exercise patience. As a seller, you may be looking to sell high and might initially look to price your home above where the market currently is. Finding a buyer willing to pay more than what they would have paid in November or December probably won't happen in a week or two. It might take a couple months. Be open to making proper pricing adjustments every 15 to 30 days or so. Evaluate showing feedback and timelines and adjust accordingly to match the market expectations. Seller watchout number 5. Commit to selling or don't sell. Interest rates dropping usually means home prices go up, but there's so much in the news cycle that's going into the future that can really impact real estate sentiment. A weakening Canadian dollar, which could further rise inflation, a poor economy, population growth that will contract over the next couple years, and to some degree reverse immigration, a change in US government, a potential change in Canadian government. Sellers will often resolve that if they don't get the price on their home, they'll just wait out the market, wait until the next season or the next year, which if things go poorly, may leave them worse off than selling today. Be honest about where your home's value was in the last 6 months and how much it could change in the next 6 to 12 months. The past 25-year average Toronto appreciation percentage is about 6%. So if your sale price requirements are far outside of last year's price, plus 6 to 10%, maybe don't bother testing out the market. But what's the opportunity cost or benefit of selling now? Maybe one more year of enjoying your retirement, maybe another year removed of buying your next home for this year's price. Commit to the sale or don't bother listing your home. So that's it for me this video. I hope you buyers and sellers found it helpful. For anyone that's looking for advice or to connect on real estate, you can contact me using the Calendly link below. Once again, I'm Jonathan Lee, a Toronto area realtor based out of Etobicoke. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video next month. Cheers.